There is a town in Montana sitting at 6,000 feet above sea level with a population of 12. It has more mountain goats than people and somehow supports a five-star bakery. That alone tells you something important about mountain towns. Mountains do not lie. They are harsh, dramatic, and completely indifferent to your plans, your schedule, or your social media feed. And hidden inside them are places so strange and striking they feel fictional, except they are very real. These are towns where sled dogs are still practical, elevation markers feel more common than stoplights, and half the buildings look frozen in time because they actually are. This is not a polished list of predictable destinations. These are places that exist because they refuse not to. Some are so remote they receive mail by mule. Others are wedged into canyon walls like secret fortresses built by people in flannel instead of villains. There is a town where cars are banned, another where every resident lives under the same roof, and one in the eastern mountains that will genuinely mess with your sense of reality. Pick carefully, and you find something unforgettable. Pick wrong, and you are paying $18 for pancakes while waiting in line behind a tour bus. Homer, Alaska sits at the literal end of the road, where mountains surge upward as if trying to escape the earth. This is not a cozy retreat. This is what happens when a snow globe collides with a nature documentary and then decides to start a farmer's market. Homer clings to the edge of the Kenai Peninsula, surrounded by glaciers, mountains, and a bay full of wildlife. The population hovers around 5,600, yet the town feels larger because the landscape does all the talking. Homes are surprisingly mid-range by Alaskan standards, crime is low unless you count moose doing whatever they want, and rentals disappear the moment they appear. People make a living fishing, guiding, creating art, and surviving winter with generators that will absolutely betray them during storms. Despite the isolation, Homer has an odd pull. Artists, pilots, chefs, homesteaders, and fishermen coexist between towering peaks and icy water. Spring is just winter with wetter snow. Roads resemble obstacle courses, cars become frozen storage units, but the reward is a place that feels raw and alive, where the mountains are loud, the people are resourceful, and the town has no interest in impressing anyone. Whitefish, Montana is what happens when a rugged mountain town accidentally becomes very desirable. It sits at the base of a peak literally called Big Mountain, surrounded by walls of alpine terrain that dominate everything. Whitefish balances ski culture, working locals, art spaces, and espresso bars with surprising grace. The population is under 9,000, but the housing prices suggest otherwise. Rent is competitive, winter is relentless, and snow does not arrive gently. It buries driveways and tests patience. Logging trucks still pass through town, wildlife wanders freely, and ski traffic turns roads into moving advertisements for outdoor brands. Yet Whitefish has a strong sense of self. It is not chasing trends, it simply exists as it is. Living there means spending more on gear than groceries, learning to layer properly, and accepting that winter is not a season, but a trial. In return, you get mountains in every direction, a lake that mirrors the sky, and a town that feels real even when it is expensive. Wallace, Idaho is wedged into a narrow valley so dramatic it looks staged. With fewer than 800 residents, this former silver mining powerhouse once declared itself the center of the universe because no one could prove otherwise. The surrounding peaks rise sharply, creating a sense of enclosure that feels protective and intense. Homes are affordable by mountain standards, crime is remarkably low, and the town has fought fiercely to preserve itself. When a major highway threatened to cut through downtown, Wallace forced it to rise overhead instead, becoming the only town to win a standoff with a freeway. Life here is simple and stubborn. There are no major chains, no rush, and no interest in becoming trendy. People know each other, wildlife is common, snowstorms happen. The landscape is powerful and close, and the town wears its history without trying to polish it. Gatlinburg, Tennessee exists in a narrow mountain valley where chaos and serenity collide daily. One moment you are surrounded by neon signs and novelty shops, and 10 minutes later you are standing in old-growth forest with mist rising from the ground. The permanent population is small, but millions of visitors pass through each year. The town sits at low elevation compared to western mountains, yet towering peaks loom just minutes away. Traffic can be brutal. Parking feels like a competitive sport, yet the Smoky Mountains dominate everything. Trails, waterfalls, and ridgelines begin right at the edge of town. Beneath the commercial noise is a deep mountain presence that cannot be ignored. Living here means accepting crowds as part of the rhythm, knowing solitude is always close if you are willing to walk for it. Sedona, Arizona feels like a place designed to challenge your skepticism. Red rock cliffs rise in impossible formations, glowing at sunrise and sunset like something unreal. It is not alpine, but it is undeniably mountainous, sitting high above the desert with rugged terrain in every direction. The population is modest, but the cost of living reflects the scenery. Traffic clogs narrow roads, and tourism is constant. Crystal shops, spiritual retreats, and guided experiences dominate the economy. Yet the land itself is the reason people stay. Trails cut through canyons that feel ancient and alive. Coyotes call at night. The air is dry and clear. Sedona demands attention, and whether you believe in its mystique or not, the landscape leaves an impression that does not fade. Harpers Ferry, West Virginia is built into the folds of the Appalachian Mountains, where two rivers meet and history refuses to stay quiet. The town climbs vertically, connected by stairs, bridges, and steep streets. With a population under 300, it feels more like a preserved moment than a modern town. Nearly everything is protected, regulated, and historic. Life here is beautiful and inconvenient. Weather shifts quickly, tourists arrive in waves, yet mornings can be silent and stunning, with fog rolling over water and mountains framing every view. Living here means accepting that the past is always present and that the terrain dictates how you move through the day. Stowe, Vermont sits beneath the Green Mountains, with Mount Mansfield towering overhead. It looks like a postcard in every season, but the reality is more complex. Winters are long and cold, housing is expensive, tourism drives the economy and strains local life. Yet the town offers something rare, a sense of seasonality that still matters. Trails, slopes, foliage, and snow shape daily routines. Life here requires effort and planning, but rewards those willing to adapt with beauty that feels earned rather than staged. Stanley, Idaho is barely a town at all. With fewer than 100 residents, it sits high above sea level, surrounded by jagged peaks and vast silence. Winters are brutal, supplies are distant, temperatures can reach extremes that feel unreal. Yet the stillness is unmatched. The mountains dominate everything, reminding you how small you are. People who choose Stanley do so intentionally. There is no convenience here, only space, quiet, and a sense of clarity that comes from living without distraction. Eureka Springs, Arkansas defies logic. Built into the Ozark Mountains, it leans, curves, and climbs in every direction. Streets twist unpredictably, buildings cling to rock faces. The town feels assembled rather than planned. It is artistic, eccentric, and deeply rooted in its setting. Life here means embracing confusion and charm in equal measure. There are no stoplights, few straight paths, and a constant sense that gravity is optional. The reward is a place that feels alive with creativity and refuses to flatten itself for ease. Taos, New Mexico exists as a contradiction made permanent. High desert meets alpine terrain. Ancient history blends with experimental living. The town sits at altitude, surrounded by mountains that receive heavy snow, while the valley below remains stark and dry. Life here moves slowly and strangely. Silence is common. Connectivity is unreliable. Conversations drift toward philosophy without warning. Yet the air feels different. The land feels old and intentional. People come here to shed something, even if they are not sure what. Ouray, Colorado is enclosed by cliffs so steep the town feels cradled by stone. Waterfalls spill from mountainsides. Hot springs steam in winter air. Access requires driving roads that demand focus and respect. Life here is beautiful and isolating. Jobs are limited, housing is scarce, shoulder seasons are quiet to the point of emptiness, but the landscape is overwhelming in the best way, offering a sense of immersion that few places can match. Leavenworth, Washington is unapologetically theatrical. A Bavarian village transplanted into the Cascade Mountains, it commits fully to its identity. Architecture, festivals, and daily life follow the theme without hesitation. Tourism drives everything, bringing crowds and cost. Yet the setting is undeniably alpine, with snowy peaks and forests surrounding the town. Living here means accepting spectacle as part of the deal. It is charming, surreal, and relentless in its cheer, balanced by the very real mountains that rise just beyond the decorated streets. These towns are not easy. They are not convenient. They are shaped by elevation, weather, isolation, and history.